Alright, the guy you're seeing on screen right now, he goes by the name The Anti-Prophet on YouTube. Very interesting individual. I ran across him because a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine, actually watches his content. I don't know how much he watches him, but probably just like casual viewer of his content. And I overheard some of the things, the talking points that he said, some of the things that he espoused, and they weren't quite tasteful. Pretty much all of his content are like little YouTube shorts. I think that's like 100% of his channel, to be honest with you. So I'm going to be looking at each one of his shorts that I have compiled myself, and I will respond to them, and that is how we will go with this video.
Why are there so many cannibal movies? For real, you must have noticed this over the last couple of years. And the question is why? Now, if we look at the horror genre, vampires is sort of like the light version of cannibalism. And you notice with vampires, they show up in romance settings quite a lot. And I think the reason for this is because in a romantic context, we want to connect with someone. We want to merge with them. And I think the idea of someone putting their teeth into your neck and sucking out your blood is the physical manifestation of giving yourself over to another person wholly and completely. And I think this is why this trope is so popular in romance. I'll take a look at a movie like Raw or Bones and All. There's an element of intimacy and romanticism inside of both of these movies. And I believe this is because people in the West are so isolated and so cut off from the people around them and so wanting for human connection that this suppressed need ends up manifesting itself in our culture and our art in such a way where we begin to glorify the physical consumption of the people around us in order to fully absorb them and feel that connection. What do you think? Can the amount of cannibalism that we're seeing in art simply be explained by the disgusting place that the American psyche is currently in? Or could it possibly be explained by this Jungian need for connection with others?
Wow, okay, there's a lot to unpack there. He's talking about cannibalism, but like the best example to come up with are fucking vampires. And I've never seen like the two movies that he brought up in his example, and I don't care to see them, and I don't even care to look up the context of what he's referring to here. But on the vampire front, let's just be real. Vampires are fucking hot, okay? Look at goddamn Alucard. I'm not into men, but look at fucking Drolta from Castlevania, and like just all kinds of like the sexiest vampires you can think of in modern media. Come on now, there's a reason why we like that shit. It's just because they're fucking hot, all right? And the neck thing, it people just like being licked on the neck. Like, of course, I got associated with some kind of fetishy romantic thing. Like, come on, it's not really that hard to put those two together. And of course, there is something to be said about how isolated people are, to the point where they like gravitate to any media, and it's not just cannibal shit. It's so fucking weird. Why is it? Why are we jumping to cannibalism? Like, people jump to all kinds of crazy shit. There's nothing special about vampires. I'm just gonna say vampires because he's just talking about vampires. There's a reason why people jump to like all kinds of media, romance stuff, and all and things like that. And like vampires being among those things, like even zombie films, like is a way to keep people like the idea that zombie films exist is because like why Walking Dead was so fucking popular is like people like tend to enjoy the idea, the thrill of being like removed from the fucking perpetual monotony of our modern society. A lot of it is pretty much, and a lot of the monotony that comes from our society has a lot to do with capitalism and mainly our specifically our work culture. Like, Jesus Christ, unless say capitalism, you can't even fucking date. It's a hard dating is a difficult thing to do. And like even just having a life outside of work is beyond difficult. You can't even fucking do anything. And you have to work more and more and more. Lately, as time has gone on, people have had to work more in order to even just be able to have like a plate, food on a plate to eat at dinner time. And God forbid there be other people in the picture besides just yourself living in one house. But I digress. Like he looks at a problem and he pretending that is something else, which is cannibalism, when you essentially he's just talking about vampire films. But like really really the thing that he's actually getting at, hey, that he should be talking about is that people gravitate towards media because of the monotony of our daily lives. That's it. Next video.
Why focusing on pronouns will make you miserable. People who get upset around being referred to by the wrong pronoun are people who have not figured out how to internally regulate their emotion. And as a result, they expect the external world to regulate their emotions for them.
I would like to know what he means by that. Like, seriously, what does he mean by that? Like, he's using a lot of vague language here. I want to know what he means by that. Is he saying that trans people who want to be referred to under certain pronouns, like they're just at the verge of raging or screaming their heads off, like on the verge of flipping over tables and knocking over shelves and shit? And I know if you're a conservative and you're watching this, I know what you're thinking. But the it's ma'am guy, yeah. Listen, the chick that was screaming it's ma'am, that's like 1 in a million case, and I can tell you for a fact that it's a 1 in a million case because you still fucking bring up that clip over and over and over again now in 2023. When did that shit happen? 2016? Like, now you're still bringing that shit up now. Like, surely if it was happening over and over and over and over and over again, with like several examples of like trans people flipping out for being referred to under the wrong pronoun, you would have new examples by now. But you don't. You keep using the same person, and they're all in the fucking, and you still, there's so many memes of that one specific person. It's remarkable.
Now, that's obviously a blanket statement. There are plenty of people in the world who, when referred to by a pronoun they don't identify with, simply pull the person in question aside, say, hey man, would you mind like referring to me as XYZ? That is a hell.
That's like 99.9% of what trans people do. So yeah, this is like, there's no reason for the video to exist. You're talking about like a percentage of a percentage of a percentage of people. Like, people get mad for all kinds of different reasons. Like, of course, this is how trans people just generally react.
Healthy boundary. If you identify a certain way and you ask someone in your life if they're cool with participating in that with you, that's fine. But we all know there is a certain subsect of the population, especially on TikTok, who demand that total strangers on the internet fully participate and validate.
Maybe that's your problem. You should stop looking at TikTok. TikTok is not the representation of the broader society. Like, there are billions of examples of all kinds of different people. I'm not going to look at TikTok and use that as an example of what all white women are like. Sure, it's a meme that I do every now and then. I think it's fucking funny to say all white women act like this. But in reality, all white women don't act the way you see the majority of white women behave on TikTok. They're not, they don't represent the majority of white women. It's social media. Like, social media only gives you like a small percentage of people, and not just that, a small percentage of one specific person. Like, when you see a TikTok of somebody, that's like only a percentage of who that person is as a human being. And not just that, it's probably a more exaggerated version of who that human being is, or even a fake version of who that human being is. They're probably playing a character. You never fucking know when it comes to TikTok and shit like that. It's social media. It's entertainment. It's not meant to represent society.
Their personal identity. If you are the type of person who depends on external validation in order to remain happy throughout the day, you are much more prone to being miserable every single day. You can't control how other people treat you. All you can control is your response to it. So again,
I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, that's a fair thing to say. That's a fair thing to point out. Yeah, no, I don't entirely disagree with that. Like, even if a trans person does get pissed, I feel like, okay, look, if a trans person like gets referred to as a wrong pronoun, and then like they talk to that person privately and just like, hey man, look, I like they them. Can you just call me they them? I understand to look more feminine and all that, but like, dude, I prefer they them. Is that okay with you? And then that person's like, you goddamn woke moralish bitch. I ain't gonna refer to you as no goddamn they them. You trying to take away my freedom of speech? You trying to control me? You goddamn fascist get tranny bitch? Hell no. I feel like at that point then that person has every right to get pissed. Sure, I'm over exaggerating, but the people who like persistently just like continuously want to like refer to that person, refer to someone under the wrong pronoun over and over and over again, they're doing it out of malice. They're not really doing it because they genuinely feel like their free speech is under attack or whatever. It's just they just don't feel like giving people basic decency and respect. If it was anything else, like if somebody got a new name or whatever, if the conservatives would respect it instantly, because again, there's no political issue around that. But there's a lot of political issues going on with trans people, so people feel like they have to take a stand against fucking pronouns because the media is trying to control them or some shit. It's fucking hilarious when you think about it.
This isn't some tirade against pronouns. This is simply saying, do not depend on the validation of others in order to feel good in here. Additionally, don't be the type of person who lashes out at others when they don't validate your inner world in the way that you expect them to. Using aggression for the purpose of getting validation from others will always be a losing strategy.
I agree with that. It's a good thing. It's very rare. Next video. Don't ask me what that was.
I don't recall seeing nearly the same amount of outrage for Uyghurs in China during the CCP's ongoing enslavement and torture of like 1 million people as I see in the left's outrage over Palestinians. And it's funny too because
What are you talking about? I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure there were plenty of left-wingers outraged about that. There are plenty of left-wingers outraged about it even now, so I don't know what we're talking about here. I think you're just making it up because you haven't seen the media cover this outrage. Whereas now, there's a lot of political relevancy or a lot to politically gain from news media outlets covering how, like, just progressives respond to everything going on to Palestinians in Palestine because of fucking Israel.
Uyghurs are Muslims as well, so why isn't there the same collective outrage amongst progressives? The reason is the vast majority.
There is. Progressives genuinely care about genocides everywhere. Like, they don't have to know that a genocide exists for them to not care about it. Like, there are genocides that I'm unaware of right now, but if I was made aware of its existence, then I would definitely care about it, and I would advocate against and speak out against that shit. And I would personally hate that shit. I would be outraged, like, absolutely. But again, a lot of this has to do with media coverage and how the news like talks about this and how and what the news chooses to talk about, what the news chooses not to talk about. I'm sorry, but progressives aren't the news. Not even fucking CNN. CNN is just basically moderate whatever. They're barely even neolibs. They're just a news media outlet. That's like all they are. They don't even have like any like political values whatsoever. They just say shit.
Majority of liberals in the West who are pro-Palestinians, unless they actually have family in Gaza, don't actually care about the Palestinians. The same way they don't really care about hunger in Africa, they don't really care about Ukraine, the same way they don't really care about the Uyghurs.
How do you know that? Who's telling you this? How do you know this? Seriously. Why do you say that? Look, I'm a progressive right here. I actually care about those things. I care about human beings. Me and the progressives that I even talk to, that I'm around, we genuinely care about bad things that happen to people because they're human beings. We don't like it when human beings suffer. Just period. That's just we are axiomatically pro-humans. I I don't know where you're getting this from.
Because human suffering isn't the thing that really makes these people angry. Their anger is mostly rooted in a deep hatred of U.S. foreign policy and U.S. supremacy. And when it comes to talking about...
You mean tankies? Like, if you're talking about tankies, I would actually agree with you on that one because tankies are just so anti-America that they're fucking pro-China. They suck the Chinese cock dick. I don't... Yeah, like, not even just that. Pro-China, pro-Russia... Hell, even pro DPRK. Lord have mercy, I've seen some weird ass fucking takes from these tankies. Lord in heaven. Like, this is one thing too, like how tankies like literally just fucking poison like political discourse in regards to progressivism. Because fucking normies like this, and I'm calling him a normie, I don't think he's a conservative or a right winger. He is a normie. Normies like him will look at what tankies say, and since tankies brand themselves as like the almighty progressives, the super progressives, they fight for minorities and they care about minorities, but they conveniently ignore like the minority oppression going on in China, like how China is very anti-gay, so is Russia, and I'm pretty sure the DPRK is also anti-gay. 100, I'm pretty sure they are. I don't even have to look it up to know that. They don't care about minorities in those. They only care about minorities in as far as they get to demonize the American government or just America in general. Like, I understand how these normies will see will look at what tankies say and say, oh, this is what general broader progressives believe, because a lot of people don't generally like consider nuance of any subject because people like to put things into tiny little boxes because it's easier to understand that way. Understandably so. But no, that doesn't make him less wrong about this. Progressives are just not like that at all. Like, actual progressives that aren't tankies are not like what he's describing.
about the Uyghurs in China. While the story has the right good guys, i.e. the Uyghurs, it doesn't quite have the right bad guys for the left to collectively care about, because it's not as fashionable to criticize China as it is the United States. Now, to top all of this off, I'll leave you.
Yeah, actually, not true. Actual progressives end up getting a lot of shit from like phony progressives whenever he talks shit about China, which is fucking stupid.
With a short statement you don't have to believe, but that I'd invite you to ponder over the next few days, which is this: the people who generally hate their country generally hate themselves as well. I don't
What?
recall
Wait,
seeing nearly.
hold on. Well, actually, you know what? Tankies probably do hate themselves. I'll give him that.
Next video.
I'm gonna give you a heads up. The thumbnail for this one had Dylan Mulvaney in it, so yeah, let's just see how this goes.
Pronounology is the study of the origin of evil. This field studies the point at which social hierarchies, which according to Jordan Peterson, primarily organize themselves around
Jordan Peterson? Well, we're off to a rough start, aren't we?
Hijacked by 6% of the population who are narcissists, sociopaths, or psychopaths in order to create pathocracies, where absolute political power is held by psychopathic and demented leaders. We are at one of these inflection points, because when you begin to criticize intersectionality,
Wait, hold on! What do we do? What do we do? Wait, who's criticizing intersectionality? Wait, oh no. Okay, I know where he's going with this.
Or other leftist buzzwords, you begin to realize
Oh, let me guess. He's gonna start like acting like any. What are we doing here? Like, is he talking about cancel culture, or is he just like talking about like progressives getting mad whenever you say the N word? Like, what? Where are we going with this?
that this ideology is nothing more than prologue for unspeakable violence towards their supposed oppressors. In the West, pathocracies are being created by leftists who, while publicly denying their cultural power, privately use that power to...
What? Wait, what is he talking about? What cultural power? Okay, let's be real. We kind of, progressives do have more cultural power than conservatives do, and that's mainly because let's be real, progressive ideology is just superior in every conceivable way. The only reason conservative ideology even has any iota of like relevancy whatsoever is because they have to use force and dogma and anti-democracy to actually make it relevant. It's really crazy how you need to use the giant arm of the state to enforce all kinds of things like women not having rights, black people being lower class, gay people being just staying in a closet. How you need to actually violently keep these people subjugated in order to uphold your ideology that you value so much. Whereas under democracy, we don't really have that issue. We don't have to force anyone to be gay, especially since there's nothing wrong with it. People are just gay. We don't have to force women to be autonomous because autonomy is based in cool and red pills. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't have to force black people to not be enslaved or force black people to not be second class. That's because that's just a given. Black people aren't. We aren't. What are we doing here? I'm sorry, skill issue. Get a better ideology, conservatives.
To deplatform, cancel, and debank people they don't like. But the thing that pathocracies require in order to flourish are weak people in societies who have historical amnesia, as well as people who naively believe that everything will always turn out for the best. So the question is this: will you allow yourself to be weak, naive, and ridden of amnesia? Or if something smells like bull, will you be willing to call it out?
Okay. He said a lot there, and to be honest with you, I have no idea what he's talking about. So you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna listen to him again to get the full picture.
Neurology is the study of the origin of evil. This field studies the point at which social hierarchies, which according to Jordan Peterson, primarily organize themselves around competence, get hijacked by 6% of the population who are narcissists, sociopaths, or psychopaths in order to create
That's just what happens in our hierarchies. Hierarchies, like, in the context of what we're talking about when it comes to hierarchies, that's just a given. That's just how the point of a hierarchy is, to give narcissistic fuckwads like that all the power. Because only a narcissist will want to set up hierarchies like that. That's just a given. That's just how they are.
pathocracies, where absolute political power is held by psychopathic and demented leaders. We are at one of these inflection points. Because when you begin to criticize intersectionality, inclusivity, or other leftist buzzwords, you begin to...
So now, here's the problem. What's wrong with intersectionality and inclusivity? Like, well, what's wrong with that? Like, seriously, what's wrong with that? Like, you have the freedom of speech to criticize it all you want to. Like, you can do that. You're not going to get arrested by the government, for saying, I don't like niggers at all. I want gay people to be lynched and burned and hung upside down under a tree. That's what I want to happen. I want this society to be white, Christian, heterosexual, where women are studying and staying in the kitchen, and all my children are my little goddamn slaves that do whatever the hell I want them to. You have every right to say that. You're not gonna lose shit. Like, seriously, you're not gonna lose shit. People aren't gonna like you. Like, they're not gonna like you at all. And they don't have to like you, honestly. Especially when you're saying horrible shit like that. So, like, hey, look. That's just how society works. You say things, people don't like it, you're gonna lose friends. Or you're just gonna be very unliked and unloved. And you're either gonna have to change for the better or just double down and accept your position as being the most unlikable fuckwad in existence. In the room, even. So yeah, that's just how that goes, you know?
Realize that this ideology is nothing more than prologue for unspeakable violence towards their supposed oppressors. In the West, pathocracies are being created by leftists who, while publicly denying their cultural power, privately use that power to...
What culture? Okay, when he says cultural power, what do you mean? Because I agree that we have cultural power, but we don't have actual power, like institutional power. We literally don't. Like, just look at everything going on right now where the Republicans are literally, like, systematically stripping away trans rights bit by bit. And just slowly chipping away at it. Hell, look at Roe v. Wade. You think progressives want that? Because if progressives had all the control, if we had all the control we wanted to, Roe v. Wade would not be overturned, period. So this idea that we have all the power is fucking ludicrous. It makes no goddamn sense. You're just making that shit up. We don't have the power you think we do. Cultural power, sure. Actual power where it matters, no.
Cancel and debank people they don't like. But the thing
who's being debanked? I don't even know about the debanking thing. I'm not even gonna touch it. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't really care.
In order to flourish are weak people in societies who have historical amnesia, as well as people who naively believe that everything will always turn out for the best. So the question is this: will you allow yourself to be weak, naive, and ridden of amnesia, or...
Alright, this sounds like some fascist shit right here. So, don't be weak, he's saying. Be strong and stoic and stand against all these disgusting progressive ideologies. Stand against gay rights. Stand against women being able to have autonomy. Stand against black people being equal. Oh, well, I don't know. I probably wouldn't go that far. Maybe. I don't know. Be strong and firm and stand against all of those minorities who are literally institutionally weaker than you in almost every aspect. Woo! Next video.
When it comes to college campuses, there should be differences in ideas. You should be able to walk over to your community communists and then walk over to your fascist club, see what they have to say and decide.
Wait, what? Why? Wait, hold on. What do you mean walk over to... Wait, why do we need a fascist club on campus? I mean, the Proud Boys can meet on campus grounds all they want to. I mean, like, they can do that all they want to, but they're not, yeah, sure, whatever. Sure. They can do that, but, like, act like that we need them there. I think democracy can do without it. Personally, hey, I don't know. I think democracy can fare better without talking about fascism and, like, lending credence to that ideology. I don't know, man. That's just me.
Decide for yourself whether or not the ideas work for you. However, it's not really like this at this point, because leftists are simply taking the Republican conservative playbook from the 1950s and before, running with it, and basically stamping out any disagreement by protesting events they don't like and kicking out...
Protesting? Oh, you mean like the protest that black people were doing, like back during Jim Crow and segregation. Not even just black people, even white people were protesting against segregation. Like all the people that protested against that. Wait. That's a conservative playbook that we're talking about. That's some stamping out rights or whatever. Wait, what are we talking? Huh? Protests? Really? Huh? Duh! My brain is melting. I am losing my mind. Where are we going, Treebeard? Oh, yeah. The protests are authoritarian now. Oh, God. Whoa, this language. Okay, moving on.
Thinkers they disagree with. And again, this is a tale as old as time because religious conservatives did this all the time when they were in power. But the only reason they were able to do this is because
they protested. Well, to be honest, they did protest, but they also wielded the power of the state to force black people to stay not second class, fifth class, seventh class, all the lowest class you can get. They did more than protest. I don't know why he used protest as an example. I'm never gonna live that down. That's a stupid thing to say.
They were in power. So whenever anyone tells you, oh, LGBT, POCs, and leftists are oppressed, call them out on their because if they were really oppressed.
What did you even call out here, my guy? You said like progressives protest, like we've been doing for fucking centuries now. Decades. Oh! What is happening? Whatever. Next video. I don't care. Next video. Wow.
If you are racially mixed, or if you know someone who's racially mixed, watch this.
I have a son that's half white and a son that's half black and a daughter that's half white and half black. Okay. They're gonna mark black because I know that there are people like you at the universities who will say, well, because this person is black, I'm just going to let them in.
I am half white and half Latino. And every time in high school and college, I was asked whether or not I was white or Latino. I marked Latino because I knew that if I marked myself white, I would be losing out on a whole ton of scholarships and opportunities based on the color of my skin. We are at an interesting point in American.
Like what? Like what? Yeah, I know this is a short. Can you give me an example? Stop. I hate the fact that like these people like use like the fact that they make YouTube shorts as an excuse to like give zero examples or substantiate any of their claims. What the fuck is he talking about? What privileges are you talking about? If you're talking about affirmative action, you know, the thing that was predominantly used by white women, that predominantly benefited white women. Okay, like seriously, I need an example, like for real, because affirmative action, all it did was just like give oppressed minorities just a tiny bit of a leg up in many aspects. Because like, come on, the fact that like we're not gonna ignore the fact that black people commonly, even still now, tend to get overlooked on job applications due to the fact that they have a quote unquote black sounding name. We're still not gonna overlook the fact that like, I'm sorry, this is a fact. Black people still are perceived to be more criminalistic than white people. Hell, even Latinos and Mexicans are looked upon that way. If you're a brown Mexican or brown Latino. Okay.
History where it literally pays to be part of a minority group. That if you're straight and white, you have far fewer shortcuts handed out to you in life as a result. Now,
they're just given to you by... Look, I'm sorry, look. The fact that you are white and or straight or a man or whatever, it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't mean you have special privileges. It just means you don't get disadvantaged. Whereas minorities just straight up get disadvantaged to the point where in comparison white people look like that they're just getting special treatment, but it's not really the case. Black people and any POC are just getting special mistreatment. That's what's really happening. That's how I interpret everything, all the data that I look at, everything that's just going on. It's more to do with the disadvantage that POCs face rather than the advantages that white people get.
Now, I'm not saying that this is necessarily right or wrong. What I am saying is that if you are a minority or part of an oppressed class, use this gift in human history to get ahead as fast as you can, because never before has society rewarded people for simply having a hard life, because up until very recently, having a hard life was the norm and still is the norm all over the world. So don't
Yeah, that's a problem. That has a lot to do with capitalism. I like how the images he used are like literally just like Like that's like if you were to look up capitalism in a dictionary, there was an image right there. The image already put up right there. Look, look, look at it. Where is it? Oh, come on. Look at that. Look at that. That's capitalism, baby. Right there. That's like, especially now, late stage capitalism. Lord have mercy. Like I said before, you have to work more and more and more and more just to even barely survive these days. Like, everyone has a hard life. Hell, even white people. Did you know this? Did you know that there were poor white people during segregation? Did that mean there was no systemic racism? I feel like if we had more than two brain cells to just rub together, like create some nice, good friction, you would come up with the answer. Yes. What was the question I'd asked before? Yes, there was systemic racism. That's the answer that you would come up with. You wouldn't be, if you were, you would have to be stupid to say no to that question. Because even like modern conservatives agree that there was systemic racism during like the 50s, 60s, and like and whatever. But there were still poor white people back then, and not just that, there were rich black people back then as well, rich and famous black people back then. They were still disadvantaged in many ways. They were still perceived to be more dangerous in many ways. Hell, even right now, there are like plenty of black celebrities that have come out like with their experiences. Like even though they're rich, more privileged than like the poor black person, um, they're still more likely to get pulled over on the street up until the white cop sees them and it's like, oh shit, that's Will Smith. Hey, what's going on? If Will Smith wasn't Will Smith, he would probably get shot on the spot. But he's Will Smith, so like the cop was like, hey, what's going on? Dave Chappelle too. Oh shit, it's Dave Chappelle. Hey, what's going on? Hey, yeah, that type of shit. That's what happens. But white celebrities don't have those problems at all because they're not gonna get pulled over. They're fucking white. Are you crazy? Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's when it comes to racism and like economic issues, they feed into each other, but they also are like they're isolated in some ways, but they intertwine with each other in other ways. This is why we talk about intersectionality because like we don't speak about just racial issues, we speak about class issues as well. To pretend that leftists don't care about class issues is fucking ludicrous because we always have. Even MLK has cared about class issues. He's talked about how several times, many times, like even when in one of his speeches, what Martin Luther King was like, "Yo, modern day capitalism." He said this back then. Like he literally said this back then. Modern capitalism is built off the backs of black slaves and still continues to exist and thrive off the backs of the working class, both white and black. I'm paraphrasing here, but that's essentially what he said. White and black working class. But he still talked about racial issues and the things that affect black people um, specifically. But he also talked about class issues as well. Martin Luther King, from what I can gather, was a communist. Sorry, but yes, I'm getting too deep into the weeds. I'm talking about this way too much, but I want to illustrate how complex these type of issues are. Because a lot of conservatives and content creators like this, they overlook the nuance of every situation to paint a very like easily digestible picture. Like racism happened back in the 60s. Now racism doesn't exist anymore at all. Let's pretend that the children that existed back then that were taught racism by their deeply racist parents aren't grown up and alive right now espousing the same talking points or at the very least have deeply ingrained perceptions outside of their control about minorities and like black people and gay people and what have you. It's a very complex issue. Like the 50-year-olds and shit that you see right now, there were many of them. A lot of the old white people that you see right now were alive during Jim Crow. Like segregation, Jim Crow, and all that. That was not that long ago. And I want people to get that. It was not that long ago, not by a long shot. To me, it was because I wasn't born during that time. But hell, my grandmother was alive during like the tail end of it. and she will talk about like the systemic racism that will go on. She's alive right now. Like, what do we talk? It's so, yeah. Don't listen to content creators like this because they leave out a lot of important details, and they do it on purpose too. They're manipulative. This is because they want to sell you this idea that racism is over, so that so that anybody, anytime any progressive wants to talk about solving these issues, they just get shut down. It's like, why would you? How dare you try to solve an issue that don't exist? Racism is gone. You know, I got a bit long-winded there, but I had a lot to say on that front.
Hard life was the norm and still is the norm all over the world. So don't hyper focus on how hard you have it if you're a minority. Use the system to get your bag as fast as you possibly can. If you are,
yeah, whatever. All right, that was it. I may cover more of his content next time, and hopefully I won't get too long-winded in my next video covering his content. But oh my god, it is so hard not to. Holy shit. Okay, yeah, content like this is just ridiculous in every conceivable way. And all I have to say about this is like, I don't want to like reiterate too much what I said, but like content creators like this are manipulative by design. It's just like they leave out important things like this for a reason. I don't know if he does this on purpose, or if he knows what he's doing, or he genuinely believes the shit that he says, but like, and not even just that, you can already see just from watching his video that like a lot of the things that he says is self-contradictory. It's just like, what do we? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's it. Whatever. I'll catch y'all later in the next video. So yeah, with that all being said and done, I'll see you in the next one. Catch y'all later. Peace.